She's got long legs and short shorts, but she ain't got no teeth. She wears a red bandana on her head and she smiles so sweet. She'll steal your heart, a very first sight should rip apart your soul. She'll torture your mind and waste your time and drag you down the road, 'cause she's a Jezebel, St. Andrew Jezebel, 'cause she's a Jezebel, St. Andrew Jezebel.
You're listening to the St. Andrews Jezebel podcast. Hey y'all, this is Ashley Feller. I'm a third-generation Panama City native, musician, and singer-songwriter. This upcoming weekend is Memorial Day weekend, so there's sure to be plenty of exciting happenings coming up in St. Andrews that I'm so happy to share with you. This week's Salty Local is award-winning author Pat Sabiston, and she's here to talk about her newest children's book entitled Can't Never Could. As many of us locals are aware, Memorial Day is a big tourism weekend for the state of Florida, but we shouldn't forget what it's really about. This week's Old News segment features an article from the St. Andrews Bay News published this week in 1923, simply called Memorial Day. Well, let's get to it. Get your favorite drink ready and enjoy the show. This weekend marks Memorial Day weekend. The holiday is observed on the last Monday of May, honoring the men and women who died while serving in the U.S. military. Memorial Day 2021 will occur on Monday, May 31st. Originally known as Decoration Day, it was originated in the years following the Civil War and became an official federal holiday in 1971. Many Americans observe Memorial Day by visiting cemeteries or memorials, holding family gatherings, and participating in parades. Unofficially, it marks the beginning of the summer season. Did you know every year on Memorial Day, a national moment of remembrance takes place at 3:00 p.m. local time? So this Monday, take a moment to remember those who gave their lives protecting the United States. Memorial Day is also a great day to enjoy ice cream, froyo, and snow cones. Sweet Feed is open noon to 9 p.m., and they have a selection of tabletop board games that you can play with friends and family while you eat. Have you strolled out to the marina and sat on the swing for a sunset? I have seen some of the most beautiful sunrises and sunsets from those swings. How about this? Have you walked out to the water at Oaks by the Bay? Have you taken your shoes off, put your feet in the sand, and gone for a sandy walk? Did you know that there's a playground just across the street from Oaks by the Bay? That's Truesdale Playground, and it's a little time warp with its vintage and not-so-new playground equipment. Make sure you visit the Salty Hobo's new front porch sometime this weekend. It's glorious, and you can check out Billy K, the new piano that was painted by several Floriopolis artists at the City Arts Cooperative. This Friday is Senior Friday at the Publishing Museum at 8:30 a.m. through 10:30 a.m. Seniors 65 and over can enjoy free coffee and donuts and tour the museum and exhibits. The works and creations of 37 independent artists are housed inside Gypsy Beach Treasure Creations, plus cool resale like vinyl records, vintage clothes, and some retro home decor. Tonight, Thursday night, if you're listening on Thursday, there is a reception at 5 p.m. at the Publishing Museum to welcome Josh Street as the new commissioner. There will be refreshments and appetizers, and the public is welcome. Mentioned last week that Thursday is the new Friday here in St. Andrews. Have you made it to the Salty Sunset Market yet? Father's Day is quickly approaching, so this might be a great time for you to find a gift for your father. The market features a variety of arts and crafts vendors, a food truck, and there's also an array of art experiences in the works. Come visit us at Floriopolis, which is located next to the market lot, and try our free 10-minute art project, Art on the Spot. Also, the Copper Tap Grill is offering $4 well drinks during the market, and Le Bon Temps has tasty waffles, 2 for $5. Some of you might know that the St. Andrews welcome sign was destroyed during Hurricane Michael. There was a ribbon cutting for the new gateway sign this week. Make sure you go see it. It's beautiful. Thank you to Michael Johnson, Mark McQueen, and Mike Nichols for seeing this through. hope everyone has a lovely, restful Memorial Day weekend. That's all I I've got for this week's community events. I hope you tune in next week for more. One of the best things about St. Andrews is that you can see live music every day. That's right, there is live music being played somewhere in St. Andrews 7 nights a week. Fortunately, my friend Ken Schaefer creates and publishes a weekly schedule for St. Andrews as well as most of Bay County. Ken's spreadsheet schedule is updated often when there's any changes. Ken also shares individual music events and is walking the walk and talking the talk when it comes to supporting live music. Not only does Ken supply the music schedules, but he attends several music performances a week and takes fantastic photos of the musicians. As a working musician myself, I feel blessed to have Ken and his wife Donna as treasured members of our local musical family. Make sure you like and follow Ken's page, Salty Sounds in St. Andrews, and Oh Boy Music on Facebook, so that you'll always know where all the live music will happen. Thank you so much, Ken, for everything you do. Good morning. This morning we're here with Pat Sabiston. She is the owner of a communications consulting company called The Right Place. She's an adjunct professor at Gulf Coast State College, where she teaches during Education Encore about ways to capture a life story. Pat just published her first children's book, Can't Never Could. Writer's Digest magazine awarded Sabiston an honorable mention for her inspirational essay, The New Legend of the Sand Dollar. She has been a book reviewer for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution as well as several newspapers. Her work has appeared in the Panama City Living magazine, and an essay was published in January 2016 by Beauty from Ashes Press in a compilation of spiritually motivated works. NPR Online published a humorous essay, and her poetry has appeared in the Southern Poetry Review. She is a feature writer for Go magazine, as well as in Cornerstone Connection. Good morning, Pat. Thank you for being here today.
Good morning.
Tell us the story behind your book, Can't Never Could, please.
Well, it's basically a true story. My granddaughter was part of a blended family, and so she and I had never really been around each other. And her mother had to go on a business trip, and she called me and she said, "Can you help me?" And I said, "Sure, just send her." So she brought her down. What amazed me was how unsure my granddaughter was when she came to visit. So what I did was I leaned on my grandmother's wisdom, and every time she would tell me she couldn't do something, I'd say, "Can't, never could." And so that's how it all started.
Awesome. So is there any additional history behind the saying can't never could?
This is so weird because I thought it dated back to the 1940s when people came back from World War II. I knew it was something my grandmother always said to me, and maybe it was just special between the two of us. But last December, a woman who was older than I was came up to me and she said, "Oh no, my dear." She said, "My grandmother said it to me." So I wrote the Library of Congress and I asked them, "Can you predate how old this is?" They actually sent me an article where it was printed in the 1800s. And since it was printed in the early 1800s, it probably predates to the 1700s or older.
Oh, wow. So it's quite a dated saying.
It is.
And what does it mean to you?
It just means that you can do anything you set your mind to do, if you try.
Absolutely. And so this is another term that is new to me, is you hybrid published your book. Tell us about that process and why you chose that avenue, please.
Okay. My background is in book publishing. And in traditional book publishing, you can actually take years to get your book published because, first of all, you have to get an agent, then the agent has to sell it, then you have to get in the what they call the book silo, where it's going to be sold to the bookstores and get published and printed and distributed. It can be years. In this case, my granddaughters are the age that their mother was in this book. And so I felt like it needed to come out in a timely manner so that I could share it with them. And they've been so excited to see a book where their mother is the protagonist. They just love that.
And have you read it to them on multiple occasions?
No, because they live in Alabama, but their mama did a YouTube video of them being read to, and it was just wonderful. One of them is just over 2, and the other one is in the 2nd grade.
Oh, that's so sweet. And one of the things that stood out to me, I was just thumbing through your book, is the beautiful illustrations. I really like them. How did you find your illustrator?
We had just entered the isolation period in March. So I was sitting at my desk and I thought, okay, I'm not going to be able to approach anybody, but I wrote an email to Jason Hedden. Now he's the division chair at Gulf Coast State College of the Visual and Performing Arts. And I said, Jason, I need to do a call to artists. So I did a form telling the artist what I was looking for at Gulf Coast State College, and he distributed it for me. Only one person responded. And it was a particular look I was looking for. I wanted it. Nowadays, children's books are edgy art. I didn't want edgy. I wanted nostalgic. And so Taylor Johnson, who was a student then at Gulf Coast State College, because you can start there and go anywhere, provided me with several illustrations, and I just loved it. And she and I worked digitally until August, and we met once. And the rest we did online.
That sounds like a really fantastic collaboration. And yes, the illustrations in the book are quite reminiscent of children's books from my childhood. I think they're warm and they're genuine. The message of the book is that you can essentially do anything. Why do you think this message is so important for little girls?
I was stunned the other day when I had TV on, and there was a news story that said that young girls between the age of 9 and 13 lose their self-confidence. So I'm thinking, okay, let's catch them earlier, because this book is actually for pre-K, early readers, and to the 2nd grade. And so you see, if we can catch younger children early and give them that confidence, infuse them with confidence, then they won't be tripped up so much later when the bullying and the hassling that goes on between students, especially in middle school, when that happens, then they'll be prepared and they'll know that they have the confidence they need to survive.
Absolutely. That's really the most impressionable age. They're like little sponges at that age. So this is really a book for both genders, right?
Oh, it is. Even though the protagonist is a little girl, I do reference in the book a little boy who used courage to accomplish a big task. I do use a little boy in the book, but the activities that are in the book are both genders. Riding bicycles, taking a bath, things like that are things that both genders do. But interestingly, the other day, one of my male friends read it to his little boy, and he was looking for just that, wondering if the little boy could relate to the little girl being the protagonist. And so when the gentleman closed the book, he said, "And so, what do you think?" And the little boy said that I can do anything. So it relates to both genders.
Then that's absolutely a success. I love that. And what groups would enjoy this book the most?
Groups. I think vacation Bible schools could use it. I think classrooms especially. I'm also looking to market it in the hospitals, because I believe when children are in the hospital, they need this message more than anything, because they're being poked and prodded and are unsure about their future. As a matter of fact, in the back of the book, Nemours, that is a children's healthcare system, had talked about the importance of the self-image of a child. So I put that as part of the reference material in the back as well.
Wonderful. And you mentioned something earlier to the nature of resources. Is that the resources you were referring to?
Right. The resources in the back, I have some biblical resources that people can use, but also some notes for teachers. It was interesting because I read to a group of children the other day, and I didn't say anything about the resources in the back, but a little girl raised her hand when it was question and answer time. And she said, I don't have a daddy. And I said, sweetheart, you did have a daddy at one point. He might not be living with you right now, but you do have a dad. The part of the message that I was trying to get across to teachers is not everybody comes from a home where there's a mom and a dad. So that's one of the resource questions at the back for discussion with students. Another part of the book that I think is really fun is eating well and properly. And so Taylor did a wonderful job in the grocery store of putting in healthy vegetables that they can do. But when I do readings, I have a coloring page sheet. I know Floriopolis would love that. It's a coloring page sheet. And in it, the children can actually draw in their favorite foods to discuss with their mom when they go to the store.
I love that. So there's so many elements to this. And I was just thinking to myself, this is so reminiscent of something that was so important to my development as a child, and that was Mr. Rogers. It sounds it's very much in that same spirit of things. So before we shift gears in just a moment, this is something I ask just about all the creative people that come on the St. Andrew's Jezebel podcast, and that's, what are your creative intentions for the coming month?
Oh, wow. Actually, I have a novel. It's finished, but the agent who's interested in it said it needs 10,000 more words. Oh, what's 10,000 more words? And then I have another book of essays that I've been cleaning up and trying to get ready to present, but I haven't sent that out yet. It's not quite ready. Somebody said, is there another children's book coming? It's interesting because this book was about my first granddaughter. I actually have 2 grandsons, so I've got to come up with a second title for them.
What drives you to write?
I don't know that it's a drive. I believe it's innate. I believe it's a gifting that I was given. I cannot not write. I have to. It's part of who I am.
I definitely know that feeling. Absolutely. It's the same with being a musician or a songwriter. If you've got it inside you, it's like you said, it's innate. You just do it. And if you don't do it, I feel sick if I can't do it.
Well, it was where I turned when we were told we couldn't see anybody, we couldn't go outside. And so I sat there and I thought, wow, this would be, for a writer, an amazing time of creativity.
And it absolutely was. This, for example, this podcast was born during the pandemic.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it was an outlet. And since this is in St. Andrews and we mainly focus on all the art, culture, music, and history here, I like to ask my guests, what do you love about St. Andrews?
I hate to use the term vibe, but there is a vibe in St. Andrews. And even though St. Andrews spreads out, if you look at the map, St. Andrews spreads out all around. In fact, I'm over near the college, and that's still part of St. Andrews. But when you cross Business 98 and you head down Beck, there is a feel. It's a lightness. It's the creative air that's in the place. And then you look at the people's faces. Even if I'm driving, I try to look at what people are looking like when they're walking around. There's a look of, maybe like at the Publishing Museum, a look of awe at all that's there. This morning when I drove up, I had a lightness just seeing the flowers, the butterfly garden, the horse, the carousel horse outside. We live in this special little conclave of creativity, and it just makes my heart happy.
Yes, it's quite a vibrant artery, I'd say. And is there anything you'd like to share before we go?
Literacy is so important. And we really need to make it a point to quit handing our child a phone, to make them busy, enfold them in your lap and read to them. You can take them to worlds unknown to them if you'll just read to them. Even in utero, it is proven that babies who are read to in utero come out smarter and ready to hit the world.
Amen to that. I definitely believe that. So how can folks find out more about you and what you're up to, and how can they purchase a copy of your book, Can't Never Could?
My website is patsabistonauthor.com. I'm on Instagram and also on Facebook, but Floriopolis will have copies of my book, and they can call me, email me, whatever they'd like to do. It would be fine. I would love to hear from anybody who hears this podcast.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being here today, Pat, and sharing with us about your new book. Folks, don't forget, if you've got little ones or if you enjoy children's literature, don't forget to check out Can't Never Could by Pat Sabiston. Till then, keep St. Andrews salty. Since Memorial Day weekend is quickly approaching, I felt it was appropriate to visit our past and read an article from the St. Andrews Bay News that was published May 29th in 1923. This is called Memorial Day. Remember that tomorrow is to be observed throughout the country as Memorial Day, a day on which the thoughts of our people will turn to the soldiers and sailors of 3 wars who are resting in our cemetery. Reverend Atherholt will deliver the address at Greenwood Cemetery, in which it has been said that over 50 who served in one or more of these wars are buried. There are many old veterans of the Civil War who served on the Federal side, and 1 or 2 who served on the Confederate side. Then there are those who served in the World War, and possibly some who served in the Spanish-American War. The graves of all will be garlanded with flowers. All are heroes. Remember the words of the martyred McKinley, spoken on occasion of this kind. The army of Grant and the army of Lee are together. They are one now in faith, in hope, in fraternity, in purpose, in an invincible patriotism, and therefore the country is in no danger, in justice strong, in peace secure, and in devotion to the flag all one. No more shall the war cry sever, or the widening rivers be red. Our anger is banished forever, when our laurel the graves of our dead, under the sod and the dew, waiting the judgment day. Love and tears for the blue, tears and love for the gray. Finch. Thank y'all so much for listening to episode 31 of the St. Andrews Jezebel podcast. I'd like to thank everyone who has subscribed and shared the podcast with all their salty friends. If you haven't subscribed, then please do. I'm starting to make some visual content for the podcast, so I hope you'll check us out on YouTube for videos featuring local events, music performances, and more. This project has been a labor of love, and I appreciate everyone who's been listening. Our theme music was written by me and recorded by Dave Schwartz at Boundless Sounds on the campus of Gulf Coast State College. The show was recorded by me in my music room. Till next time, keep St. Andrews salty.
Red lipstick, so thick, and a push-up bra. Tramp stamp, stretch marks, and a lacy thong, 'cause she's a Jezebel, St. Andrew Jezebel, 'cause she's a Jezebel, St. Andrew Jezebel.